Hello guys, how are you? In today's lesson, we are going to understand the concepts of normality, anatomical variation, anomaly, and monstrosity, which is a continuation from lesson number 1. I'm teacher Paulo Nalesso, nice to meet you, and welcome to Beabá da Anatomia. Our goal here is to share knowledge about physiology, anatomy, and other subjects related to health and human body. If you are interested in this type of content, feel free to subscribe and activate the bell so you can get notifications every time we release a new video. It is important to know that anatomy books will always bring images of what is considered to be normal, meaning the most common features in the human body. So this is the so-called normality, which we can translate as the most common features found in human body, whoever we might be looking at. Taking as example, the third molar, also known as the wisdom teeth. People are born with these wisdom teeth are located in their jaws, just waiting for adulthood to emerge from the gum. Another example is the sciatic nerve, which is the longest nerve in our body and runs through the lower back until our foot, going down our limbs through or actually underneath the piriformis muscle. However, when we get to study anatomy, say in college, we now can see real body, like real structures in front of us. And now we understand and we can see that those structures are very much different sometimes from what we have seen in the books. And this happens not because that, oh my God, they have different pieces. No, this is what we call an anatomical variation. And the interesting thing about the anatomical variation is, yes, it differs from what is considered to be normal, so it differs a little bit from what we have seen in anatomical books, but it does not lose its functionality. So if we have to stand a parallel between normality and anatomical variation, this is the threshold. This is the X of the question, if one may say. An anatomical variation will not lose its functionality, although it differs from, shape or formality of size. So taking our previous examples, the wisdom teeth and the sciatic nerve, some people are naturally born without the third molar, without the wisdom teeth. But does this alter any type of function? For example, does this cause them any harm, any pain? Does this cause them any impairment on the speaking or when they are chewing? No. Not at all. So this is anatomical variation. Likewise, the sciatic nerve can also present some deviations. Not that people will be born without it, otherwise you could not walk, but we have seen that the sciatic nerve goes underneath the piriform muscle most part of the time. However, people might be found having the sciatic nerve going inside the piriform muscle or on top on the piriform muscle, and again, this does not bring any alteration on functionality. The sciatic nerve and the piriform muscle will both have the same functionality. This, guys, is what we call an anatomical variation. This is why we say that biology isn't a precise science. 2 plus 2 will always be 4 in math, right? But people are different, as we have seen in lesson number 1. So why their structures will be all the same? And we can look at 5 great examples of when or how these very anatomical variations can occur. Let's start with age, okay? So a baby and an adult will clearly have different anatomies and anatomical variations, but taking as example the skull, okay? A baby's skull has openness, has more open spaces, has fontanelles and sutures, etc. And why is that? For mainly 2 reasons. Number 1, to facilitate the passage of the baby through the vaginal canal during the birth process with minimal effort and minimal pain for both parties. So this skull will be literally squeezed during this process. And number two, to guarantee enough space for the encephalon development, which is still ongoing when the baby is born. But as this baby grows up, these fontanelles will close and the sutures will be fused, leading to a complete skull, and will be compact, and it will act as the same as if it was an adult skull, which is to be a safe place for the encephalon, a safe place for the nervous system, to protect our encephalon. And it doesn't matter if it is a baby skull, a teenager skull, or an adult skull, it will act just the same to protect the encephalon and the nervous system. Another concept that we can look at is related to the biological gender. Men and women are anatomically different and no one can deny it. But taking as example our pelvis, we will find that both masculine and feminine pelvis are formed by the pubis, the ilium, and the ischium bones. However, the masculine pelvis is narrower and possesses a smaller subpubic angle. Meanwhile, the female pelvis is not only wider but also possess oval shape and a greater subpubic angle. And what for? To help during pregnancy, right? Both female and male pubis are responsible for some support and protection and anchorage for some structures down below, but only the female pelvis is responsible for pregnancy and also is present, of course, during the birth process. So this wider angle and this wider pelvis helps during the process, the whole process of pregnancy, to allocate the fetus, and also during the birth process itself. But again, male and female pelvis will have the same functions apart from the birth and pregnancy, which is support, anchorage, and protection of some viscera. Another example of biological gender anatomical variations is the urethra, right? So in men, this urethra will present something around 15 to 20 centimeters because it goes through the penis, which is an organ that is shared by both the reproductive and the urinary tract. So remember that the urethra goes from the bladder upwards until the exterior part. But in women, it will be smaller, shorter, something around 4 to 6 centimeters. And it's also because in women, the reproductive tract and the urinary tract is separated. But again, I say, the same function. The same idea, both male and female urethra will do the same task, which is conduct the urine from the bladder to the exterior. A third example is ethnicity. So around the world, we will find black people, Caucasian people, Asian people, indigenous people, and every one of these people will present different characteristics. So black people tend to have bigger lips and wider nose. Meanwhile, Caucasian people might present elongated nose. Asian people have their characteristic eyes. But paying attention, and you don't have to go far, you will see that none of these structures will lose any functionality or will differ in functionality. They will all act as the same. In fourth place, we have the body type. So now we're talking about ectomorphs, mesomorphs, and endomorphs. Ectomorphs, they are tall and slim people with long limbs, and very similar to what we find in basketball players. On the contrary, endomorphs are short people with shorter limbs and wider torsos, very similar to what a sumo fighter looks like. And the mesomorphs, they are halfway there, if one can say. So they are not tall or short, they are not slim or chubby, they are in the middle. So maybe just to standardize something, they are the normal, okay, because they are in the middle, all right? But these definitions don't have to be followed strictly. Just have, they are just nomenclatures. You can have some deviations and everything will be fine. Remember, we're talking about anatomical variation. Finally, evolution also played its role on anatomical variation. So throughout the centuries and the sedentary life that we adopt, we have forced our bodies to change a lot. So nowadays we don't normally climb trees anymore. We don't hunt. We don't eat raw food regularly, except for some Asian cultures. So these led to some body structures like teeth and muscles and some organs to be unnecessary to our life. Let me give you a practical example. Try touching your thumb with your pinky and you see this small cord here. Can you see? I think this is better. So if you see this small cord here, congratulations. It means that you have ancestral traces. But if you do not, congratulations that you are evolved. No, just kidding. But this small cord here, I'm having a difficult time finding it. Okay, here it is. So this small cord is the tendon for the muscle pamarilangus, which is responsible for wrist flexion. Okay. What will happen if someone is born without it? Will they be incapable to do wrist flexion? And no, they will not. So just giving a context, this tendon, this muscle, it is thought that was responsible to help us to climb trees and etc. All the things that we used to do back then. And nowadays, it's not useful as it was back then. But this is when anatomical variation comes to the table, because either having it or not, people can still flexion their wrist. And why is that? Because we have other structures in our body, in this region, in this area, so in our hands, in our forearm, that help us to do the same task. And if we have the concept of normality, we also have the concept of anomaly, correct? The so-called anomaly. This is when something is slightly different from what is to consider normal, and also functional loss is already expected. So now there is a variation and also the loss of functional. A great example of this is the leporine lip and palate, also known as the cleft lip and palate, which is nothing more than when a baby is born with a fissure on the superior lip. This fissure can reach to the base of the nose, creating an openness, a canal through the mouth cavity to the nasal cavity. And this will surely bring some impairments, especially on speaking, sometimes, but most importantly when the baby is feeding on their mother's breast and also in the process of chewing. Another great example is the polydactyly, which is when someone is born with one or more fingers than the usual numbers. So we have 10 fingers on our hands and 10 fingers on our feet. So this person might be born with 11, 12, who knows? And the thing is, this finger or fingers can be made of only soft tissue, therefore functionless. There will be no function of this finger, also no harm. But this finger can be a complete finger with bones, joints, therefore a regular finger like ours that we have here. So there will be functionality. Nonetheless, independently if this new structure has or has not functional anomalies, they are compatible with life, meaning that although functional loss is already expected and normally occur during anomalies, life goes on. There is no impairment on life in the presence of anomalies. On the other hand, when this anomaly becomes too great, we call it monstrosity. A great example of this is the anencephaly, which is when a baby is born without or with its brain underdeveloped. Could also be the skull, but again, as we seen, since the skull gives not only protection but also the place for the encephalon to develop itself, if there is no enough room, the encephalon will not develop. So just revisiting the terms that we've learned today. Normality refers to what is normal, common, found in whoever we might be looking at, the pattern that always repeats itself. Variation is something that, as the name suggests, varies a little bit from the pattern, but yet there's no life impairment, there's no functional impairment. However, anomaly is when something is not only out of the normal, so it's again not expected to occur, but also there is functional loss, although life remains normal, life goes on. Finally, we have monstrosity, which is a very severe case of anomaly, meaning that not only functional loss will happen, but also life impairment, meaning that unfortunately, like I said, the patient will eventually die. Could be within days, hours, or weeks. That was it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and to turn on the notifications so you can get a message every time we release a new video. Give us a thumbs up so we know that we are doing it right, and of course to help this video reach more people, and don't forget to share this video with the ones you believe that might like this video as well. In the comment section below, give your suggestions for next lesson if you would like to do so, or just to make some questions if you have any. That was it. See you next time, guys. Take care.